Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We can see the enthusiasm in the Khuddam, in the youth of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community, and some elders who are helping to serve in many capacities. This is inspired by Majlis Khuddam al-Ahmadiyya, and as a proactive measure to train the youth of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community to become future leaders of tomorrow. As we can see now, the then second Khalifa, Hazrat Mirza Bashiruddin Mahmud Ahmad, may Allah be pleased with him, he established Majlis Khuddam al-Ahmadiyya, comprising of young men between the ages of 15 and 40. The vision of the then Khalifa has been carried out by every Khalifa since, and this auxiliary organization has become stronger and stronger, and it continues to be established in all countries where the Ahmadiyya Muslim Jama'at is well established. In today's world where we continue to see a moral decline across the board, people are moving away from the concept of God, and some youth are growing up with a less and less moral compass to keep them all grounded. But within the Ahmadiyya Muslim community, tackling such challenges directly falls on the laps of Majlis Khuddam al-Ahmadiyya, the Ahmadiyya Muslim Youth Association. And today in the studio to talk more about this topic, on my immediate left, I have Dr. Fahim Yunus Qureshi Sahib. I know you can see some gray hair, even though we said 15 to 40, but he's been a great servant of Majlis Khuddam al-Ahmadiyya. He served as the national president for the association in the United Kingdom. I know it's not many years ago since you left MKA, and then he went on to serve the elders of the Jama'at as well as the auxiliary for ages of 40 plus. Dr. Sahib, welcome to the program. And on my far left, I have Shamil Jamal Ahmed Sahib, who's the national president of Ahmadiyya Muslim Youth Association in Mauritius. You're still young and fit, right? And welcome to the program. So to start with you, Dr. Sahib, we talked about the Khuddam, the youth of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community. This auxiliary organization, somewhat special, was started by the second Khalifa. What do you think was the reason for that?
Hazrat Musleh Maud radiallahu anhu has repeatedly given sermons to clarify the objectives of Majlis Khuddam al-Ahmadiyya, and you can sum it up in one word. It's just divine wisdom, 2 words actually. But to attach our youth with Allah Ta'ala, God Almighty first, give them a moral brotherhood, a community where they can thrive among people of their own age, and then other facets which are now becoming increasingly importantly. For example, if you just look at Waqar Amal, the dignity of labor in this digital age, where people will go into a dirty bathroom and they will feel like this is beneath me. Hazrat Khalifatul Masih Sani could see that 100 years ago, and he did not want us to think of any work beneath ourselves. And that is why when he goes to say nations cannot be reformed without the reformation of the youth, that's the industry. This is the industry, this is the spiritual industry to reform the youth. And we are all the fruits of that.
And you talked about connection with God. This is something that generally speaking, people think, old people, I'll get connected to God later. But you talk about connection to God for youth. How does that relate? And how important is that to establish that at an early age?
Of course, you know, like when is it easy to move a plant? When it's 5 months old or when it's 50-year-old tree? If you want to move a plant from one garden to another. And once again, that's wisdom. Because the age of tarbiyat, the age of reformation doesn't start at the age of 50. 40 is the age of maturity according to Holy Quran. The age of tarbiyat actually starts in the womb. Research now shows that children, when they were played something that they heard in the womb of the mother, children could recognize that. So 5, 7, 10, when we are atfal, that's when tarbiyat truly starts. And by the time you're 20 or 30, actually, you see at this Jalsa Salana, by the grace of Allah, they're already leaders. They're already taking care of big initiatives, which at my workplace actually would be unthinkable.
It's interesting you mentioned how the research shows that babies can hear, and Hazrat Khalifatul Masih I, he says that I can remember the recitation of the Holy Quran when my mother was pregnant and I was inside. So it's fascinating to hear that. Sadr Sahib, Mauritius, nations cannot be reformed without the reformation of the youth. You know, sometimes we wait for something to break on a worldly perspective, then we fix it. Proactively, what does Mauritius do? And again, this is across the board, to make sure that these things are fixed before they break.
Well, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Not only in Mauritius, I think these activities are repeated worldwide. we have specifically the Tarbiyat department within Khuddam al-Ahmadiyya who has been tasked with the duty to look after those young Khuddam. So, and these days, even when you listen to Hazrat Amirul Mu'mineen, he has been giving us specific instructions that you have to arrange for programs to cater for the needs of the youth. Ask them. Even in Mauritius, we were told to do a survey. Go and ask them what they want, and then use those platforms and those programs to do their reformation. So, a wide array of activities, apart from the formal settings that we do in the Ijlasat and stuff, we have a wide array of activities, including camps during school holidays, bike hikes. It may seem like these are, we are just going out for leisure, but no. This helped to establish that bond among the Khuddam, and also we have missionaries who accompany us during those trips and those camps, and they bond with the young missionaries, and this is very crucial for the tarbiyat of those youth. So, and for the brotherhood and for their tarbiyat, their moral reform. So normally these days in Mauritius, even I see it elsewhere as well, we tend to try to find various ways, apart from the traditional settings that are good, that are needed, but also various ways. Those who don't come to the mosque, we have to go and meet them. We have to go and take them for a foot five or something else, just for them to get that attachment, and then we take it on from there.
Absolutely. And you talked about the brotherhood. Again, I just want to touch more on that and the challenges. Coming to you, Dr. Saib, America would be different from Mauritius in some ways. We know that it will have sometimes its own unique challenges. How are some of the ways that the Majlis Khuddam al-Ahmadiyya or the Jama'at tackles these issues that some organizations may run away from? Maybe they don't have the answers that could satisfy their youth, but how do we tackle those so that our youth are also satisfied and they can change them?
Sure, I think three great challenges that face our youth today is identity, temptations, and believe it or not, finance. And I'll tell you, because I've talked to many of them, America, Muslims are like 2% of American population. Muslims are 5% of Europe's population. Think of yourself. If you're 1 out of 100, 5 out of 100, you're going to feel isolated. You're going to question, what is the proof that I'm right and 95% of the people are not? So identity is a big piece. And second to me is temptations. We're living in the lap of Dajjal. And by the grace of Allah, we have the mercy of Allah with Hazrat Musleh Maud and this Jama'at. So we are sort of vaccinated, right, against that Dajjal. But call it your cell phones, your smartphones, your devices, the interactions between men and women, the clubbing, all of those realities that Hazrat Sahab actually very directly addresses, and now gender fluidity and so much more. And third is really financial challenges. When you really get to know youth, they are, at least in America, they're taking heavy loans and they're worried about how they are going to deal with it. So what Majlis Khuddam al-Ahmadiyya does, when we come to Ijtimaat and Jalsas, that's where you grow a strong identity. You're not 1% anymore. You look around and you see a sea of people like yourself. And when you are connected with Allah Ta'ala, and when Hazrat Sahab keeps repeating, Namaz Quran, that is the antidote, that is the vaccine against all those temptations.
Absolutely.
And with chandas, we understand financial sacrifice.
Right. And instead of coming back to you, just to also explain that Majlis Khuddam al-Ahmadiyya is also the umbrella above the younger ones. So just viewers don't think that it's from 15 that we start training. There's a pre-training. We talked about in the womb, but between birth to 15 also there is something. 7 to 15 of Atfal. Could you talk a little bit about that?
So actually Khuddam al-Ahmadiyya, we can say, is divided into two parts. First for the children, 7 to 15. But Tarbiyat starts, from the womb. But formally within the Jama'at, we have a specific program, a specific, set of people who are tasked with to train the children from 7 to 15, and then Atfal al-Ahmadiyya, and then from 15 to 40, Khuddam al-Ahmadiyya. So all over the world, we have regular classes, meetings, for the tarbiyat of those children, 7 to 15.
So now shifting over to service, because when we have youth that are trained, that are benefiting from Khilafat, from all this training, we also want them not only within Wakari Amal here, which is great, it's a good training. How do they go out in the world and benefit humanity?
Well, I was thinking about that question, and recently we had a meeting with the Minister of Environment in Mauritius. So we were waiting. It was the day he meets the public, and then we entered, and then he asked, okay, what can I do for you? We told him, no, what can we do for you? So instead of a 5-minute meeting, we had a 30-minute meeting with him. He said, you are the first people who came in this office and offered to do something for me. So this led to, you know, cleaning campaigns and planting campaigns throughout the island. So this is something really that the others outside, they see it as extraordinary. How can you convince 8 years old to get up in the morning, 7 a.m., to go and plant, you know, some trees along the motorway? For them, this is unthinkable. So this is actually the, you know, the spirit of sacrifice that we instill, you know, in our head, you know, Jaan, Mal, Vaqt, Izzat. This that we instill in our youth, and then, alhamdulillah, they take it and then they go in the field, and we have the Khidmat al-Khalq department within Khuddam al-Ahmadiyya, you know, serving the poor, the food packs and the blood banks, and so many initiatives that are being taken all around the world.
Dr. Saab, I'll roll back your Khuddam al-Ahmadiyya years for the last question. In America, money talks. You have led Khuddam al-Ahmadiyya for how many years?
4 years.
For 4 years. In those 4 years, to get Khuddam to go stand in the streets and serve without any money, without any pay, born, raised Americans, how do you convince them to do that?
I think the last part of the pledge that Sadr Sahab was saying, that I shall do anything to guard the institution of Khilafat. Ultimately, I was a servant, as everybody else. Our leader is Khalifatul Masih. And I think I've tried and I've prayed hard to make sure that I can somehow connect them with Khilafat. Try to remove myself from the equation, and just as many times when Hazur Anwar came to US in 2008, it just galvanized Khuddam al-Ahmadiyya, and I don't think that we are looking back from there.
Alhamdulillah, thank you so much, Sadr Sahib and former Sadr Sahib. I always think you were Khadim anyway, so that the gray hair thing was just, you know, he was my first president of my local Jama'at when I came to the United States, so we have that very frank relationship. Dear viewers, thank you so much for joining us in this segment to talk about our youth, our services, and how we can benefit not only ourselves within our own programs, but humanity in general.